the chains of unity. The galaxy had not seen peace in 1,000 years. Every species had fought for control, for dominance, for survival. But there was one thing they all agreed on. Humanity was too dangerous to exist freely. The humans had once been explorers, traders, and builders. But their fire frightened the galaxy. They did not obey the old empires. They did not kneel before ancient gods. They spoke of freedom as if it was a weapon, and they carried that belief like fire in their hearts. The Council of Worlds gathered in the capital of the galaxy, a grand city orbiting a golden star. The room was filled with voices of 100 species, each one proud, each one terrified. On the massive screen at the center floated a blue sphere. Earth. The High Chancellor of the Council raised his voice. We all saw what humans did in the Sol conflicts. They are unpredictable, violent, and uncontrollable. They cannot be reasoned with. They must be contained before they destroy everything. Whispers spread across the chamber. The tall insectoid leaders clicked their mandibles in agreement. The scaled warlords of the Drayak nodded slowly. Even the peaceful races, the scholars and thinkers, looked away in shame but did not object one by one. The council members signed the Pact of Unity, the greatest alliance in galactic history. Not for peace, not for trade, but for slavery. They would enslave humanity, chain them, and end the threat forever. Across the galaxy, fleets were prepared. Millions of ships, each bearing the mark of their species, gathered at the edge of Sol system. The void between stars shimmered with light as their engines ignited. From distant worlds, the message echoed. The humans are to be taken alive, their home is to be occupied. Resistance will be crushed, the galaxy moved as one, united by fear. On Earth, there was silence. No warnings, no cries for help. Humanity watched from the shadows. They saw the incoming fleets through old satellites and deep space sensors that had been asleep for centuries. People whispered across continents. They are coming! But no one panicked. Instead, something old stirred beneath the surface. Deep in the iron halls of forgotten bunkers and sealed vaults, machines long deactivated hummed back to life. AI systems that had slept since the last war blinked awake. An old general, gray-haired and silent, stood on the mountain base once known as Command Station 7. He watched the sky glowing faintly with approaching stars. They think we are weak, he murmured. They forgot who we are. His second in command, a woman with calm eyes, replied softly, Should we prepare the fleet? The general gave a slow nod. Wake them up. All of them. The ocean depths rumbled as ancient submarines surfaced. Cities that had been quiet for decades suddenly flickered with hidden energy grids. The moon, long forgotten as a place of peace, revealed its hidden scars, bunkers and launch ports that opened like awakening beasts. Across Mars, dormant defense systems began transmitting, linking into Earth's network. The alien armada arrived 3 days later. Stretching across the black sky like a silver storm, thousands of ships blocked the sun. Their shadows cast over continents. The first message came, broadcast across all human frequencies. This is the Galactic Council. Humanity is now under protection and supervision. Lay down your weapons. Surrender peacefully and no harm will come to you. Earth did not answer. The aliens waited, confused. 1 hour passed. Then 2. Finally, the alien commanders grew impatient. Fire warning shots, they ordered. Beams of plasma scorched Earth's upper atmosphere, shaking the planet with light and thunder. Cities went dark. Oceans boiled at the edges. And the galaxy watched in silence. Then came the reply, not words, not a transmission, but a signal. A single pulse of energy erupted from Earth, reaching every alien ship within seconds. Their systems flickered, sensors died, engines shut down. The once mighty fleets that filled the sky suddenly froze. Powerless in that silence, the humans moved. Hundreds of black shapes rose from Earth's surface, ships unlike anything seen before. They had no markings, no heat signatures, and no mercy. The alien admirals screamed for orders, but no one could respond. The human ships began firing, pure kinetic force that tore through shields and armor alike. It was not just an attack. It was vengeance. One alien broadcast survived, sent to the Council's core world before their fleet was erased. The voice was trembling, desperate. They knew. They were waiting. The humans, they were never asleep. And then came the final moment of realization across the galaxy. The species that had united to enslave Earth had awakened something far worse. Not a victim, but a storm that remembered every scar, Every insult, every chain ever forged against it. Earth did not surrender, Earth prepared. And the galaxy had just declared war on the one planet that never forgave. The silence. Before the storm, the alien fleets drifted over Earth. Silent and waiting, their weapons glowed faintly, ready to fire again. Yet no movement came from the blue planet below. No human voice, no resistance, only the whisper of the wind through dead satellites. The commanders of the Galactic Council were growing impatient. They had seen empires fall and worlds burn, but never a world this calm. It felt wrong, too quiet, like the pause before a scream. The High Admiral of the United Fleets, a massive creature covered in scales of silver, leaned forward on his command bridge. His eyes narrowed at the image of Earth. "Why do they not surrender?" he hissed. "Their defenses are broken, their cities powerless. What are they waiting for?" His advisors gave uncertain glances. One spoke softly. "Perhaps they have nothing left to say." Far below, on Earth's surface, deep under the ruined mountains, the old command network had come alive. Flickering lights filled the underground chambers, and thousands of operators in gray uniforms sat before ancient consoles. The air hummed with the sound of awakening machines across the planet. Hidden bunkers connected through tunnels of light, linking oceans, deserts, and cities into one pulse. The old general from the mountain base stood before a vast holographic map, showing the alien fleet above. His face was calm, his voice steady. "They think we are silent because we fear them," he said. "They don't understand that silence is our strategy." Around him, young officers nodded, their eyes filled with a mixture of fear and pride. Humanity had not forgotten how to fight. They had simply chosen when, high above the planet, alien drones scanned the surface searching for movement. They found nothing, only abandoned towns, cold cities, and dead comms. The alien scientists reported to their leaders, "Human resistance is non-existent. It appears they have no global defense remaining." The council cheered, believing victory was close, but miles beneath Earth's crust, enormous reactors began to hum. Their cores glowed with light that had not been seen in centuries. These were the hearts of Terra, deep fusion chambers built during the last Great War, each one connected to defense satellites, space elevators, and hidden launch sites. Slowly, energy flowed across the network, invisible to alien sensors cloaked by ancient Terran code. In the cold void beyond the moon, something stirred. A shadow, darker than space itself, drifted silently. Massive structures shaped like blades began to unfold. Human warships dormant for generations were waking. Their hulls shimmered with the words Terran Defense Command, worn by time but unforgotten. The alien admirals soon noticed strange readings. A few small blips appeared near the lunar surface. They dismissed them as debris, but moments later, one of the blips moved, then another. The fleet's sensors began to flicker. "Interference detected," an officer shouted. "Unknown energy signatures incoming." The admiral leaned forward again. "Identify the source," he barked. But before the words left his mouth, one of his ships vanished from the radar. No explosion, no fire, just gone as panic spread. Another ship disappeared, then another. The fleet scrambled to respond, their massive formations breaking apart. The general on Earth watched from his screen as each alien vessel went dark one by one. His second-in-command smiled faintly. "Phase 1 complete, sir." The general nodded. "Good. Let them fear the silence," they mocked. He turned toward his officers. "Initiate the Veil." The Veil was an ancient Terran defense system, an electronic storm that could blind any sensor. It rippled across space like a living thing. The alien ships above Earth suddenly lost all readings. Stars vanished. Space turned black. Their own ships disappeared from their scanners. They were blind in every direction. Then came the whisper. A human signal broadcast in every alien language, calm and cold. "You came to enslave us, you brought chains. Now we bring silence." The message ended and the transmission cut off. Panic erupted in the alien fleet. Captains shouted orders, trying to regroup, but it was too late. Human ships, sleek and silent, emerged from the blackness. They did not use visible weapons. They simply passed through the fleet and ships began to crumble, hulls torn apart by invisible force. The admiral screamed in terror. "Who are they? How are they doing this?" But no one answered. Communication lines were gone, navigation dead. The entire armada, built by hundreds of worlds, was now a floating graveyard over a planet they thought was conquered. On Earth, the general gave the final order. "Activate Skyfall." From the dark clouds above, thin golden streaks of light fell like rain, each one a drop of plasma, each one a warning. The alien fleet burned silently, not a sound, not a cry, just the glow of fire reflecting on the oceans. The galaxy watched the live feeds in horror, billions of eyes staring at the impossible. The United Armada, the greatest power ever assembled, was dying without a word from Earth. The Council of Worlds received the last message from their admiral before his signal vanished. Do not come for them again. They are not what we thought. And as the last alien ship fell into Earth's atmosphere, burning like a falling star, humanity remained quiet. No celebration, no speeches, just silence. The kind of silence that makes the stars themselves afraid. Because in that silence, the storm was only beginning. When the skies burned, the night sky above Earth glowed red, not from the rising sun, but from the burning remains of alien ships falling through the atmosphere. Each streak of fire tore across the heavens like a wound. The oceans hissed, the deserts shone, and the cities looked up at the raining embers of their enemies. The world was silent, united not by fear, but by something older, something deeper, fury in orbit. The remnants of the Galactic Armada floated like corpses in the void. Thousands of alien ships, once symbols of power, now drifted aimlessly, shattered, powerless aboard one of the wrecked cruisers. The surviving alien officers stared in disbelief. Their technology, it's impossible, one whispered. How can primitives wield such power? Another officer, trembling, muttered. They were never primitive. We were blind. Down on Earth, the command room was dark, lit only by the glow of holographic maps. The general stood in silence, hands behind his back, watching the destruction above. His second-in-command approached. The skies are clear, sir. The fleet is gone. The general nodded slowly. No, he said quietly. This was only the beginning. He turned toward the control screen, displaying hundreds of blinking signals across the galaxy, each one an alien world. They all joined the Council's war. They all watched as our people were chained, he said. Now they will watch again, but this time, they will see what happens when Earth fights back. At that same moment, in distant systems far beyond Sol, alien news channels broadcasted the footage of the battle. Worlds that had celebrated humanity's fall now trembled. The leaders of great empires stared in horror as they saw their fleets disintegrate. The screams of their soldiers echoed across the stars. Some called for peace. Others called for vengeance, but deep down, they all knew they had awakened a monster in the ruins of the alien flagship. The surviving admiral managed to send one last transmission to the Council of Worlds. His voice was weak, filled with terror. They are not the same humans from history. They have changed, evolved. They fought in silence and killed in the dark. We underestimated them. Then his signal cut out forever. Back on Earth, the skies were finally clearing. The smoke parted to reveal the stars again. Humanity stood on rooftops and mountains, watching the heavens in awe. They had survived. The children pointed to the falling lights, thinking they were shooting stars. But the elders knew they were burning ships. The general walked through the command center, passing rows of tired soldiers and scientists. He paused by the main console, where an old holographic banner flickered to life. The emblem of the Terran Defense Command. Once it had been a relic of history. Now it was a promise reborn. He placed his hand on the console. Send the signal, he ordered. The signal spread like lightning, traveling through space faster than light. It reached human outposts that had gone dark centuries ago. Forgotten colonies hidden in asteroid belts, secret bases buried under alien-controlled moons. One by one, they responded. Command received. Humanity's network, once thought extinct, was awakening. In the galactic capital, the Council was in chaos. News of the defeat spread faster than containment orders could silence it. Ministers shouted, envoys panicked, and ambassadors from every world demanded answers. How could this happen? One roared, how could a single planet destroy an entire armada? The Chancellor slammed his claws on the table. Because we made them remember who they are. But even as they argued, the lights in the council chamber flickered. The communications network began to fail. Screens went dark one by one. Then, without warning, a human face appeared on every display across the galaxy. It was not a soldier or a general. It was an old man, dressed in gray with calm eyes and a quiet voice. This is Earth, he said. You came to enslave us. You broke your own peace, you burned our skies. Now, You will face the consequences of your unity. The message was short, but it echoed in every corner of the galaxy. No threats, no promises, only certainty. The human fleets that had hidden in deep space began to move. Thousands of ships slipped out of stealth, forming dark clouds that stretched between stars. They carried no banners, no symbols of conquest, only the quiet rage of a world betrayed. On one alien world, a child looked up at the night sky. Seeing strange trails of light crossing the stars, her father whispered, "Those are Terran ships." His voice trembled. "May the stars protect us." Back in the command room on Earth, the general watched the fleet's departure. His second-in-command asked softly, "Do we destroy them all?" The general's gaze was cold. "No," he replied. "Not yet first. They must understand what fear truly means." As the human ships vanished into the void, the stars themselves seemed to dim. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy felt small, fragile, and silent. Earth had not only survived, it had become the storm. And the storm was coming. The message of fire across the galaxy, fear spread faster than light. Every alien channel, every communication hub, every interstellar beacon whispered the same name: Earth. Worlds that once mocked the humans now darkened their skies. As if hiding from the stars themselves, the Council of Worlds tried to regain control, demanding silence, demanding unity. But their words meant nothing now. Their fleets were gone, their pride turned to ash, and the memory of human wrath haunted every world that dared to listen. In the deep void between systems, humanity's fleet moved like shadows. Their ships made no sound, no light. Their hulls absorbed radiation, blending with the dark. They did not travel through known hyperlanes. They created their own, bending gravity itself inside the lead dreadnought. The general stood before a massive holographic display, showing the locations of the first targets. His voice was calm. "Begin Operation Echo." The first strike was not against soldiers or fleets. It was against symbols on the world of Vareth, home to the Council's propaganda network. Their capital city glowed under 3 suns, filled with broadcasters who once showed humanity in chains. That night the suns dimmed and fire rained from the sky. The people looked up to see a storm of light, orbital kinetic weapons falling in perfect silence. When the dust cleared, the towers were gone, and in their place stood one burning message carved into the soil: "Never again." The galaxy saw it. The image spread to every world, to every race. Humanity had not spoken, but its message was clear. Meanwhile, deep within the Terran fleet, engineers worked tirelessly. Their ships were ancient but alive, each one powered by cores made from captured black holes. Their weapons were not just tools of war. They were relics of vengeance. The AI system known as Erebus, an old Earth defense intelligence, calculated every move with cold precision. It spoke softly through the ship's speakers. Targets identified, morality override disengaged, retaliation protocol active on the bridge. The general listened, his expression distant. "Make it quick," he said. "No suffering, no cruelty, just truth." The second strike came without warning. The Drayak Empire, one of the first to propose humanity's enslavement, awoke to see their moon burning. The moon's surface cracked open, revealing ancient Terran devices buried there centuries ago. Machines built when Earth still dreamed of peace. Now they came alive, forming a beacon that shone across the void. It projected one phrase in 1,000 languages: "We remember." Panic filled the Drayak homeworld. The Emperor himself tried to flee in his golden cruiser, but his engines froze mid-flight. His ship was surrounded by 5 Terran vessels, small compared to his but far more deadly. A single transmission came through his screen. The general's calm voice: "You joined the pact. You voted to chain our people. You called it peace." The Emperor trembled. "It was the Council. I was forced." The voice interrupted. "No one forced you, you chose, and now, choice has come back to you." The transmission ended. A light flashed and the Emperor's ship vanished into dust. Back on Earth, people gathered around screens, watching the distant wars unfold. They did not cheer. There was no celebration, only quiet understanding. The young asked why, and the old answered, "Because they needed to remember who we are." Meanwhile, the Council of Worlds was collapsing. Entire alliances crumbled. Trade routes shut down. Leaders vanished. Some worlds tried to surrender to Earth, sending pleas for mercy, but no answer came. The humans were not fighting for conquest. They were fighting for memory, for justice, for peace forged in fire. On the human flagship Odyssey, the general stood before his officers. "They will call us monsters," he said. "Let them. We became monsters the moment they chained our people. If they wish for peace now, they will have to understand what kind of peace we offer." Then came the third message, the one that would shatter the last illusion of safety in the galaxy. On every network, every device, every broadcast channel, the same video appeared, a quiet view of Earth from orbit. Its blue oceans glowing softly. The voice of the general spoke. Calm and steady. "This is our only message. We do not seek vengeance, we seek balance. You united to enslave us. Now you will unite to remember why humanity should never be enslaved again." Then the feed changed, showing the stars. One by one they flared red. Each red star marked a destroyed fleet, a fallen world, or a vanished empire. The galaxy watched helpless as more stars turned crimson, and the message ended in the council chamber. Silence fell. Some leaders cried, others collapsed. One whispered, "They are rewriting history with fire." On the bridge of Odyssey, the general stood alone, gazing into the darkness. "They wanted to teach us obedience," he said softly. "Now they will learn humility." Behind him, the AI spoke. "Phase 2 completed. Awaiting new directives." The general nodded slowly. "We are not done yet. Send a signal to every surviving world. It's time they face what comes after the fire." And as the fleet turned toward the next cluster of stars, the void shimmered with their engines. The storm was spreading. The galaxy had mocked the silence of Earth now. That silence spoke louder than any war cry. It was the message of fire, and it would echo for generations. The fall of empires. The galaxy had never known fear like this. Whole civilizations that once ruled the stars now whispered the name Earth as if it were a curse. The grand empires that had lasted for millennia were collapsing. Not because of invasion, but because of silence. A silence that followed every Terran transmission. A silence that came before fire. Across the rim worlds, communication stations went dark one after another. Fleets that tried to retaliate simply vanished. No wreckage, no signals, only empty space, the Council of Worlds. Once the symbol of unity was now broken, each species blamed the other for the disaster. Some turned on their allies. Others begged for peace from the humans who never answered. The Drayak Empire fell first. Its planets, once bright with industry, were left in ruins not from bombardment, but from something far worse. Their reactors shut down. Their orbiting stations lost gravity. Their world drifted into cold darkness. On the ruins of their capital, glowing lines appeared, written in burning plasma. "The chains you built are now your own." Next came the Fourth Dominion, a race of conquerors who had once traded human lives like currency. Their fleets gathered near their homeworld, prepared for war, waiting for Earth's vengeance. They waited for days, then weeks, but nothing happened. Just when they believed the humans had forgotten them, the sky over their world split apart. A black ship larger than any city appeared silently. Its surface reflected no light, only shadows. The Fourth King stepped onto his balcony. Staring at the strange object above his world, his guards trembled. "What is that?" one asked. The king could not answer because deep down he already knew. The ship did not fire weapons. Instead, it released hundreds of tiny objects, metallic spheres that drifted down like dust. When they touched the ground, they dissolved. And every communication device, every weapon, every machine on the planet stopped working. The world went quiet forever. On the other side of the galaxy, the few neutral species who had refused to fight began to speak of prophecy. They said the humans had become something greater. Not an army, not a nation, but a judgment. Rumors spread of ghost fleets seen at the edge of dying stars, of black ships that appeared in silence and vanished without trace. Some claimed to hear voices in their dreams. Human voices whispering, "Remember us back on Earth." The general watched the reports from the fleet. His face was pale, his eyes tired. The war was ending. But victory did not feel like triumph. His second-in-command entered. "Sir, the council is in collapse. Their last stronghold is requesting terms." The general turned slowly. "Terms?" he repeated. "They offered none when they chained us. They offered none when they burned our skies." The officer hesitated. "Then what do we do?" The general looked out the viewport where the stars burned faintly. "We end the age of empires," he said, "not with fire, but with truth." He ordered the fleet to broadcast a message. It reached every surviving world. In every language, a voice calm but unyielding. This is Earth. Your wars are over. Your empires are finished. We do not want your worlds, your riches or your thrones. We only want silence, the kind that remembers for the first time. No one dared to respond. The transmission continued. You united once to enslave us. You believed your unity made you strong, but you built it on fear, on cruelty, on lies. Now you will rebuild on memory, or you will not rebuild at all. On dozens of worlds, people knelt before the screens. Not in worship, but in acceptance. They knew it was over. The galactic order that had stood for thousands of years was gone, and in its place stood a new truth. Humanity was not a servant race, not a lesser species, but the silent storm that could erase civilizations when provoked. Inside the human command ship Odyssey, the AI Erebus spoke softly. All hostile forces neutralized. Remaining fleets have surrendered. The general closed his eyes. Deactivate the war protocol, he said. Let the stars rest. The lights dimmed, and for the first time in decades, the hum of war machines faded into quiet. In the far reaches of the void, the surviving alien leaders gathered on a neutral moon. They were broken, frightened, stripped of arrogance. One of them spoke, his voice trembling. What do they want from us? Another answered, nothing. The meeting ended with no peace treaty, no signatures, just a shared understanding, and the humans would not rule, but neither would they forgive. From that day, every world placed a warning in their archives, written in the old Terran tongue. Do not awaken the Earth. Back home, humanity rebuilt, not in pride but in purpose. The cities were brighter, the air clearer, and the people quieter. They had seen what they were capable of, and it scared even them. The general walked along the shores of the Pacific, watching the horizon. He spoke softly. We survived what they called the end now. We must prove we deserve the beginning. And somewhere in the stars, the broken remains of alien satellites still carried one haunting image. Earth, silent, glowing blue, beautiful and terrible. A planet that had been enslaved, then forgotten, then reborn in fire. The galaxy would never forget the day its empires fell, not because humanity conquered them, but because Earth reminded them of what happens when unity is built on chains instead of respect. The empires had fallen, but the lesson would last forever. The day the stars went dark. The galaxy had grown used to light for thousands of years. Every corner of the void had been marked by the glow of ships, cities, and trade routes that glittered like veins of fire across the stars. But now, one by one, those lights began to fade. The once brilliant highways of commerce were dark and empty. Navigation beacons flickered out. Communication towers went silent. And the proud empires that had once boasted of their reach now whispered in fear. It started on the outer rim. Worlds stopped transmitting without warning. Their suns still burned, but their skies turned black as though something unseen had swallowed the stars themselves. The council tried to send investigators, but their ships never returned. They only received fragments of transmissions filled with static and terrified screams. Then came the reports. Sightings of vast shapes drifting through the void. Human dreadnoughts, colossal machines of war, silent and slow. Their hulls bore no emblems, no colors, only darkness. Each ship carried the name of an Earth city etched into its side. Tokyo, Berlin, Cairo, Lahore, New York. Reminders of a world that had once been small and fragile. Now a myth made metal. The aliens called them the Ghost Armada, for wherever they passed, the stars seemed to die. Sensors failed, gravity twisted, and space itself shuddered. They did not attack. They simply arrived, and worlds surrendered before a single shot was fired. On one such world, the planet Olithar, an industrial giant with a population of 10 billion, the people gathered in the capital square, staring upward above them. 3 human dreadnoughts hung motionless in orbit. They did not speak, they did not threaten. They simply blocked the sun, plunging the planet into twilight. For 3 days, no one moved. On the 4th day, the ships turned and left. But the damage was done. The people tore down their own government, swearing never again to raise arms against Earth. In the hidden command room of Odyssey, the general watched the holographic map. Thousands of systems now marked in gray, neutralized. Silent, the war was no longer fought with weapons. It was fought with fear, with memory, with the weight of what humanity had already done. His second-in-command approached quietly. Sir, reports from the inner systems. Their fleets have disbanded. Their worlds are in chaos, the empires are gone. The general nodded, his face unreadable. Then it's over, he said softly. Let them rebuild in the dark, outside the viewport. The stars stretched endlessly, but even the stars seemed dimmer now, as if mourning the civilizations that had once filled their light. The AI Erebus spoke in its steady voice.
Shall we power down the fleet, Commander?
The general paused, looking at the quiet sea of space. No, not yet. The galaxy needs to remember this silence. Back on Earth, people began to see changes in the night sky. Constellations looked different, darker, as if some of the stars themselves had gone missing. Astronomers knew the truth. Those weren't missing stars, they were extinguished systems. Worlds that had lost power or fallen into quiet under the shadow of humanity's wrath. Children grew up hearing the stories, tales of the dark day, when the stars went out and the galaxy learned humility. In distant space, a lone alien ship drifted near the ruins of an old trade station. Inside, a surviving historian recorded his final message. This is the end of the Age of Light. The Terrans have not conquered us. They have changed the universe itself. We no longer look to the stars for hope, but for forgiveness. His signal faded, carried across the cosmos as a whisper to no one. The general stood on the bridge of Odyssey, watching the dying glow of a nebula. They called us unpredictable, dangerous, violent, he said quietly. They were right. His second-in-command looked at him unsure. Will they ever forgive us? The general's gaze hardened. They will not need to forgive. They only need to remember. For months, the human fleet remained in silence, patrolling the edges of the galaxy, a ghostly presence reminding everyone what had happened. Eventually, one by one, the ships began to power down. Their lights dimmed, their engines cooled, and they drifted toward home. When Odyssey finally entered orbit above Earth, the planet below shimmered blue and peaceful. It looked untouched, pure, as if the war had never reached it. The general stood quietly, his reflection merging with the planet's image in the glass. The stars went dark to remind them what light means, he whispered. Now we must protect that light, no matter the cost. And as the ship descended into Earth's atmosphere, the fleet behind him followed. Thousands of black giants returning to sleep beneath the oceans and mountains, waiting for the day they would be needed again. In the void they left behind, the stars slowly began to shine once more. But none of them were as bright as before, because every world that looked up at the night sky remembered the day the stars went dark, and knew, deep in their hearts, that if the galaxy ever united against Earth again, the darkness would return. Earth's new dawn. The fires of war had faded, but their light still haunted the stars. The galaxy lay in silence, a wounded giant finally still. The fleets that once patrolled the void were gone. The empires that ruled entire sectors were now shadows of memory. Yet somewhere within that vast silence, one planet glowed quietly. Blue, calm, alive, Earth had endured, not as conqueror, but as reminder. Its skies were clear again, its oceans deep and shining. Cities that had once trembled under bombardment now hummed with life. Children played beneath rebuilt skylines, unaware of the weight their world carried. To them, humanity's fury was a story, a legend whispered by their elders. But for the survivors across the stars, it was truth written in fire in orbit. The once mighty human fleet now slept beneath the waves or hidden in the black. The dreadnoughts lay beneath the ice of Antarctica, their cores dormant but watching. Satellites drifted quietly, waiting for signals that might never come. Humanity had chosen silence once more, not because of weakness, but because silence was their strength. Inside the rebuilt Command Station 7, the old general stood before a vast window overlooking the Atlantic. He was older now, his uniform simple without rank. Behind him, the AI Erebus projected soft lights across the floor. All systems have powered down, it reported. No hostile signals detected within 10,000 light-years. The general nodded slowly. Good, let it stay that way. He looked toward the horizon, where the first light of dawn rose. For the first time in centuries, we can breathe without fear. His second-in-command entered, carrying a datapad, messages from the outer colonies. Sir, she said, they've begun to rebuild. Trade routes are opening again. Even some alien envoys have sent peace offerings. The general gave a faint smile. Peace built on fear does not last, he said. But peace built on memory might, elsewhere in the heart of the galaxy. Survivors of the fallen empires gathered in council once again, but it was not the same grand chamber of old. It was a simple hall, modest and unguarded. There were no banners, no titles, only faces, tired. Humbled and silent, the eldest among them spoke. "We once united to chain a world," he said. "Now, we must unite to keep our freedom from our own arrogance." A new decree was made that day, a promise written in stone and light. No world shall ever raise arms against Earth, nor attempt to enslave another. They called it the Pact of Remembrance, and every civilization signed it without hesitation. For the first time in history, unity came not from fear of domination, but from the will to never repeat the past. Years passed and the galaxy changed slowly. The broken worlds healed, cities rose again, but this time without slaves, without walls, without the arrogance of the old age, and yet every civilization kept one tradition. At the end of each cycle, they turned their gaze toward the blue star in the distance and fell silent for 1 minute. A ritual known as the Moment of Earth. Back on the planet that started it all, life was simple again. The general walked through a forest path, sunlight streaming through the leaves. Children ran past him laughing, chasing each other. Their laughter carried through the wind, reminding him what all the battles had been for. He stopped by a monument made of silver stone, a memorial to those who never returned. Soldiers, civilians, dreamers, all engraved together under one line. They wanted peace, and they built it from the ashes. The general placed his hand against the cold stone. "We did what we had to," he whispered, "but may no one ever have to do it again." That night, he stood by the ocean as stars reflected on the water. For the first time, they seemed brighter again. The waves whispered softly, and he could almost hear voices in them. The ghosts of those who had fought and fallen. The AI's voice broke the silence. "Sir, the galaxy is stable. Humanity stands unmatched." He shook his head slowly. "Not unmatched," he said, "just finally understood." In distant space, stories about Earth spread among travelers. Some said the humans had turned into light. Others claimed their armies still slept beneath the seas, waiting for the next storm. But all agreed on one thing. Earth was no longer just a world. It was a warning, a promise, and a legend. Generations later, children on alien worlds asked their parents, "Did the humans really erase entire empires?" The parents would sigh and answer, "No, child. They erased our pride, and somewhere, far beyond their stars, the blue planet turned quietly. Unbothered by the legends it had birthed, its people no longer spoke of vengeance, only of peace. But under every city, deep in the rock and steel, the ancient war machine still slept, their lights dim, their hearts still waiting not for war but for remembrance. As the dawn rose once more over the horizon, the general closed his eyes. Feeling the warmth on his face, the world was quiet, and in that quiet there was strength. Humanity had returned to what it was always meant to be, not conquerors, not slaves, but the keepers of balance. And as the first sunlight touched the Earth's oceans, a single phrase echoed across every world, whispered by both humans and aliens alike, a truth carved forever into the history of the stars. Never awaken Earth's wrath again. The storm had passed, but the legend of Earth's fury would outlive every empire, every species and every star, because when the galaxy united to enslave mankind, it had unknowingly forged the one thing it could never control, humanity's unbreakable soul, and thus began Earth's new dawn, where silence was peace, memory was strength, and even the stars dared not forget.